Are Brady and Gronk's best days behind them?
I don't believe so. And I don't believe so by virtue of the supporting cast that they have available to them. We're not looking at numbers here. We're looking at mystique. We're looking at reputation. We're looking at closure, meaning that it's time to close. We're in the red zone. Who are we going to target? It could be Rob Gronkowski. You can get away with that. The man's got 79 career touchdown passes. 65% of the time that Brady has targeted this man since he entered the league in 2010, they've connected with one another. That's why he's got over 7,800 receiving yards and 521 receptions in his career, all pretty much from Tom Brady. You've got to take that into account and then look at the supporting cast that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have available to them. You've got Mike Evans. You've got Chris Godwin, both studs. Cameron Braid and O.J. Howard are no joke. Rob Gronkowski, a big target, obviously is somebody that you can target in the red zone, but then when you take into account his blocking ability, that's also going to elevate the quality of their running game, which was ranked 24th in the league last year, if I remember correctly. So when you look at it from that perspective, where's the weakness? It certainly isn't in the play calling of Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich. I don't believe it's going to be in the case of Tom Brady, who was bereft of targets in New England last year. I certainly don't believe it's their receiving core, and now their tight end situation is shored up. I think when you look at it, does it elevate them against San Francisco, ahead of San Francisco? No, but they're virtually capable of beating anybody. I think they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFC. That's how I view it. No downgrade with Brady and Gronk. Only elevation, not numbers-wise, but what they bring to the table combined with what they have in place. I definitely don't think you've seen the last of them or the worst of them, because they'll target one another in the red zone and they will capitalize.
Of course, the best days of Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski are behind them. Is this a trick question? The best days? Why do you think they're not on the Patriots anymore? Do you think players with their best days ahead of them, Belichick just says, see you later? Of course their best days are behind them. Gronkowski, don't get me wrong, Gronkowski was still excellent when last seen on a field. And Stephen A., you're right, he can block, he can do everything. He plays with so much heart, he's clutch. He's still a very valuable piece. But was he the Gronkowski of 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago? No, that clearly he wasn't the receiving target that he was in the past, even though he was still better than most. He was clearly not the same guy. And part of that is he had a million concussions and he was really banged up, and that's why he retired from football for a while. Tom Brady also. This is not like, oh, this year he wasn't as good as last year. You could say that for 3 seasons now. I said the cliff. It was more like a ravine, Molly. I know you like that. But it was. It's season over season. He's getting worse and worse. And part of that, of course, is a supporting cast. But Tom Brady would still be a Patriot if his best days were ahead of him. Great, all-time great players. Look, the greatest quarterback ever and the greatest tight end ever, if they were in their primes, if their greatest days were ahead of them, they would just change teams? The team would let them go? Of course not. Now, you bring up the supporting cast around them. It's awesome. Godwin is maybe the most underrated guy around. Evans and Gronk, and you bring up something, Howard or Brady, something's got to give. How many tight ends are you going to throw out there? And, by the way, the draft is coming up. They'll fill the hole at right tackle. They'll get a running back. And if they go early on a running back and get really an elite guy, oh, my goodness, look at this offense. But that's the point. Think of how much Tom Brady has around him. Even the offensive line in recent years, they've devoted more resources to in terms of draft picks and treasure. So Brady's got, the defense is a little bit underrated. So Brady's got not just plenty, more than almost maybe anyone else. Maybe he has the most around him. They're going to be favorites to win the Super Bowl, the favorites. If his best days were ahead of him, they would be. They're not.
He's not the same guy, okay? And neither is Tom Brady. But together with the weapons that you talked about, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Brate, Howard, all those guys, yes, I see it. Is it going to be an impact on the game with Brady and Gronk? Heck, yes, it is. And that's why, and I'm going to tell you a matchup. This team right here matches up with the Niners. I love the Niners, but watch out. If these two play each other in the playoffs, I think Tampa Bay I think they can win that game.
Coach, I'm going to get on you here a little bit. It's not your fault. I think you've been contaminated by the presence of Max Kellerman, particularly coming on at the top of the show. And I think you might say hello to him prior to the show, and it might affect your thinking just a little bit there because you've been overly analytical about this. I'm not trying to act like Tom Brady could go out there. I'm sorry, Rob Gronkowski could go out there and catch 17 touchdown passes. That's not what I'm alluding to. I'm not alluding to him replicating numbers that he did in the past. What I'm talking about is when we asked the question about Grady and Gronk's best days, well, what are their best days? Their best days was when they were Super Bowl champions. Do I believe this team has the potential to pull that off? Yes. Do I believe this team, these two guys, could connect in a fashion where you're effective in the red zone? You infuse a level of a different culture in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that's been non-existent for decades, for crying out loud. They haven't been to the postseason since I believe it was like 2007. Those are the type of things that I'm alluding to. I'm not talking about Gronk, who retired because of a slew of injuries and how it tripped him. It just robbed him of his spirit. He's turning 31 years of age in May. I'm not talking about Tom Brady, who's 43 or going to be 43 years of age, doing the kind of things he did when he was in his 20s or 30s. I'm saying when you look at these guys, and at the height of their success, it wasn't just about them. It was about so many things around them. Can these two individuals have the kind of effect culturally, have the kind of effect in the end zone, have the kind of effect in terms of building chemistry and camaraderie to maximize the troops, the potential of the troops that you help galvanize as one in a way that we never would have envisioned if Jameis Winston was still their quarterback? Yes, you just said they could possibly take out San Francisco. You love that matchup. Yeah. Well, if you could take out San Francisco, who the hell can't you take out outside of Kansas City? My point is, you could beat anybody with this crew. I think they could pull it off. That's what I'm talking about, not numbers, because clearly it's not going to be the same numbers. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.